afternoon, and welcome to our first Client Devices Business Quarterly Research Highlights and Outlook webcast, outlining the recent results from the TBR Computing team. My name is Allison Crawford, and I will be your host for today's session. Technology business research's focus is to provide business research to accelerate our customer success, and in our series is part of these ongoing efforts to find ways to support you and your business, help you get the most out of your research investment. As the computing practice at TBR continues to grow, we will share readers with our analysts every quarter. Section TBR and our analysts will relate our company-centric research to overall computing trends to provide additional opinions and insight into the quarter's performance. In the next 30 minutes, analyst Ken Hyers will delve into the trends driving the results featured in the 1Q12 computing benchmark and the forthcoming 2Q12 devices benchmark report to which you subscribe, followed by Q&A of these trends and how they will affect you. We invite you to send us any questions or comments to the Q&A function or the chat function at any point during the presentation. I'll pose them at the end of the webinar. Or if you'd like to set up a client inquiry for more detailed discussion, please reach out directly to Ken at the end of the webinar with a CC to your account executive to set up a discussion. Now, without further ado, I'd like to hand this over to Ken Hyers. Ken?
Thanks, Allison. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Mobiles, smart and tablets are the way all of us interact with each other and with data that we use. These are disrupting established patterns, and not just the patterns of our lives, they're disrupting the business of long-time device vendors, too. Devices are changing the way people interact with media and data. More people access the internet with their phones than with a PC. In the middle of this decade, the same will be true here in the U.S. Devices are changing as a result of changed usage patterns. Smartphones have become true mobile computing devices. Sales have overtaken feature phone sales in the West and will soon do so globally. Users have reacted to these changes more quickly than others. Two companies are leading in smartphone sales, while two former leaders are now lagging badly. They're struggling to adapt, speed, and so on. This discussion is drawn from TBR's computer devices benchmark. The in-depth analysis of PC, tablet, and smartphone companies and related component and platform vendors. The bench looks at the financial, tactical, and go-to-market strategies of these companies and companies based on these metrics. Here are a few of the more than 40 companies included in the benchmark. I'm going to talk to you today about mobile device disruption, and then, slide please. Talk to you about mobile device disruption and the changes in mobile computing that result from the proliferation of smartphones, tablets, and PCs. Ubiquitous. In fact, there are more mobile phone subscriptions worldwide, over 1 billion, than there are people using toothbrushes, which is somewhere less than 4 billion people. Some of the fastest growing technology in history. From 2007, when the first of the modern generation of smartphones were introduced, there are more than 700 million of these devices in use worldwide. And though there are significantly less tablets around than smartphones, their growth trajectory looks like will be even higher than smartphones. The number of devices is growing at a phenomenal pace, and the processes are changing and disrupting entire industries, including the industry that makes the devices. So we'll talk about how smartphones, mobile phones, platforms, and the vendors that make these devices are into that change and disruption. Next, please. Subscriptions more than double over the next 5 years, from 7 billion today to over 3 billion by 2017. As a category, are one of the fastest selling new products in recent history. And iOS are the operating systems on which this expansion is built. And other OS has yet shown that it can challenge these two. Microsoft is best positioned to be that challenger with one for smartphones, tablets, and PCs, and an appealing alternative for enterprises. Despite growth in smartphone sales, all companies, Samsung and Apple, are reaping substantive profits from the spike in smartphone sales. Bring device of employee-owned devices in the workplace, opportunity for another platform to establish its place alongside Android and iOS. But with substantive sales only coming in 2013, this cold comfort to OEMs struggled to survive in 2012. Let's talk about the smartphone and the tablet landscape. As mentioned, these devices are the fastest growing technology in the history of the world. Growth will continue to accelerate. 7, please. In the quarter of this year, Apple and Samsung led the mobile terminals business in terms of year-to-year revenue growth. Amazon, Apple, and Samsung have leveraged their unique strengths to drive rapid growth and establish long-term positions in the mobile devices space. For the iPhone 4S led to a considerably higher sales mix of iPhones within Apple's portfolio, with for over half of Apple's total revenue in 1Q12. Margins were above 50%. Apple's ability to generate operating margins in excess of 50% on its rapidly growing iPhone business will keep it at the low end of the smartphone market. Samsung smartphone margins have averaged over 22% since 2011. Strong demand for mobile devices in China shifted Samsung's product mix towards high-end smartphones and away from low-end feature phones. In 2012, Huawei expects 30 to 40% of its smartphone sales to come from China. Sales driven by sub-$200 Android smartphones, as well as the new quad-core Huawei Ascend D. Huawei is going to price its phones at 10 to 20% less than competitors' comparable models, which will ensure quick consumer adoption. The smartphone strategy from 2012 through 2014 includes the release of high-end LTE-capable smartphones running Android and Windows Phone. This, which will run Android, is around summer one of the Tier 1 operators for a substantially lower price than phones such as the iPhone and Samsung's Galaxy S3. At price point, U.S. postpaid operators will need to provide heavy subsidies to bring down the cost for consumers. Nokia and RIM are learning from rapid changes that have caused them to fall behind. Nokia caught in the gap between the collapse of its Symbian platform and the ability of its next generation Windows and the availability of its next generation of Windows sets. Currently, phone 7X devices are gaining share, but at a pace well below what is necessary and will offset plummeting sales of its Symbian smartphones. RIM introduced its own updated smartphone platform, forcing existing customers to choose between an increasingly outdated smartphone or buy competitors' more modern smartphones. Increasingly, Nokia and RIM customers have chosen to abandon the companies for modern products. HP, like most Android vendors, lost money on low-end devices, and it's trying to beef up its high-end smartphone line. A ARM-based mobile strategy collapsed last year, and its PC vision was threatened. The company tablets, but it have limited resources for a mobile strategy. It offers an opportunity to HP for it to align its PC products with a tablet strategy. With domination in television, seeks resources to pursue its traditional premium position in the moving mobile devices market. Its really siloed organization keeps it from leveraging its assets across businesses. It fixed synergy between its mobile, gaming, and music and media businesses to have an opportunity to differentiate its products and make share gains. And companies are struggling because they fail to react quickly enough as changes in technology and taste restructure the market for mobile devices. Next, please. Shipped nearly 400 million mobile phones in the first Q of 2012, with Samsung and Nokia accounting for 24% and 21% respectively. They shipped 145 million smartphones in the first quarter of this year, with Samsung and Apple claim 29% and 24% of the market, respectively. The flexibility of Android allows companies to use it in widely divergent markets, such as Samsung can take forth less expensive smartphones, especially emerging markets, while at the same time occupying a large proportion of the premium smartphone space with devices such as the Samsung Galaxy S3. Smart vendors such as Android can seamlessly tie the mobile experience with the PC. And this Apple dominates, and where Windows offer market opportunities for PC and smartphone OEMs. Two vendors are enhancing the content ecosystems provided by platform vendors, provide appreciation, and more importantly, stickiness. Next slide, please. Adoption of smartphones and tablets, driving R&D spending for component development, and energy efficiency in mobile devices. Apple, clear leader in tablet sales, and sales of Samsung tablets continue to struggle in the face of intense competition from Apple. Electronics vendors will be positioned to capture additional revenue from a lucrative fluid mobile device market, developing the chipsets that provide increased capabilities on a smaller footprint and use less energy than the previous generation of components. Next slide. iPad has shown consistent staying power in the tablet space. And tablets have failed to compete with iPads at the high end of the market, but sales have accelerated with the arrival of smaller, low-priced Android tablets. Seeing an opportunity will introduce smaller tablets, carving a niche in the 7-inch space for its premium tablets. The net-priced smaller tablets, introduced by both Apple and Android, will continue to grow, accelerated by the increasing volume of content available. The market is defined as large enterprises are still evaluating tablets and tablet strategies. Availability of the Windows 8 tablets will enterprises to begin introducing tablets for widespread use. The large-scale commercial developments of tablets to increase significantly starting next year. And I think that Windows 8 tablets will play a large role in these deployments. And service capabilities and the advent of Windows 8 will continue to drive PC revenue this year. Services and other ancillary products are becoming key components of PC vendors' overall revenues. Average corporate revenue growth was 290 basis points from the fourth quarter last year to 12.4% in the first quarter of this year, despite marginal year-to-year gains in PC revenue. Average PC revenue growth increased slightly from 1% in the fourth quarter last year to 2% in the first quarter of this year, as some PC vendors grappled with eroding market share in developed consumer markets, as enterprises delayed purchases of desktops and laptops until the release of Windows 8. That's set for October of this year. Next slide. Apple established the benchmark for integrating PCs with mobile computing devices, and in the process establishing a very sticky ecosystem that encourages users products to purchase additional Apple devices. While no vendor or platform provider has built a similarly capable ecosystem, Microsoft is looking to do so with Windows 8, which promises to fully support and integrate traditional and mobile computing across a range of devices. Next. Smart account for approximately 20% of all mobile devices currently in use. Theirs will grow steadily over the next 5 years, and beyond. In 2011, approximately 27% of all mobile devices, or near 500 million devices sold, were smartphones. In 2015, the smartphones sold annually will approach 1 billion devices. Smart and rapidly because they provide a content ecosystem that supports entertainment and limited productivity outside of the home and office. Tablets are growing rapidly because they provide a richer entertainment and productivity environment out of traditional computing environments. continue to sell in large volumes, but those volumes are decreasing, as is the profitability for those devices. And that's leading more vendors to withdraw from the market and focus on more profitable smartphones. Next, mobile platforms, the systems and ecosystems that support mobile devices. These systems, even more than the hardware, are what are driving consumers to adopt mobile computing products. Next, mobile computing has seen its greatest growth in the consumer markets. The OSs for smartphones and tablets are Android and Apple's iOS. These operating systems run across a number of different devices. There's by a wide variety of applications, and in the Android are available at many different price points. The feature of both Android and iOS is that they have strong offerings for the enterprise market, despite that workers are bringing large numbers into the workplace. Windows, which lacks the large application ecosystem that Android and iOS have, has very low market share in the consumer space, does support the needs and requirements of the enterprise for a mobile data device. In security and compatibility with standard productivity applications, it's a benefit for the enterprise user in many cases. And the opportunity to extend in the workplace and establish a beachhead there. Bringing smartphones and tablets into the workplace. These are consumer-grade devices running consumer-grade applications. Item makers are challenged to make security, to manage security, and to provide access to a really expanding pool of diverse devices. That successfully integrates enterprise-grade mobile computing and desktop computing will ease the challenge of IT as it seeks to manage mobile devices. The Microsoft's platform, which is to integrate mobile computing and desktop computing, could, in the process, level the playing field for OEMs. To make this platform successful, device operating systems, cloud services, content ecosystems are necessary to provide a fully fledged mobile computing experience. Windows, iOS, and Android are the big three. Will continue to dominate, but Samsung's Bada and Amazon's Fire could play enduring roles as low-cost entry points to content-rich mobile computing ecosystems. Next, for the vendors, the smartphones and tablets and the platforms these devices run on is one of lost opportunities. Phone, tablet, and PC vendors have been left behind by the rise of mobile computing. But there are opportunities out there that can be exploited. In the process, vendors both gain market share and improve profitability. Next slide. Apple and Samsung are succeeding with two separate platforms. The other handset vendor is struggling to retain market share. In the quarter of this year, the active installed base of mobile OS users in the U.S. dropped to less than 5%, while it increased to nearly 50%, and Apple's iOS to almost 30%. This slide to just over 15%. Symbian, strong in the U.S., came last at less than 2%. Globally, Android's active installed base in the first quarter of this year beat previous leader Symbian. The decline of Symbian shouldn't be surprising. The PS came in late 2010, early 2011. Following announcement in February 2011 by Nokia that it would be phased out, smartphones and that OS have experienced a steady slide in market share. Next. Ability to generate operations in excess of 50% on its rapidly growing iPhone business will keep it out of the wind of the smartphone market. Successes, curiously, come from some premium aspirational devices to the mass market. Apple will continue to protect its brand and cachet by avoiding the low end of the market. It should be perceived as a maker of mass market products, though it's exactly what it is. Since targets widely divergent markets and take care with less expensive smartphones, particularly the emerging markets. dominates the premium smartphone space with high-end devices like the Galaxy S3. Sam can leverage its supply chain advantages and research and development to target growth across market segments. Sam is clearly focused on being the mass market smartphone leader by value-based products while protecting its brand and reputation. Since lower-priced products aspire to higher-end devices, while of its higher-end smartphones are getting premium products. Next slide. Most vendors bet on expanding their portfolio of low-cost devices in 2011, but expensive devices washed away profits for most. 2011 was the beginning of the end for several smartphone OS platforms. Vendors tied to those platforms are now struggling to regroup, with potentially in the end game of their corporate lives. Tablets are answers, not lifesavers. Only one company has unlocked the code on tablets so far. First, tablet offerings have failed to gain lasting traction. And strength in consumer electronics or PCs doesn't translate into strength in mobile. Companies have dominated consumer electronics and personal computers have attempted to emulate peers who've had success with smartphones. But the synergy between one business and the other isn't always clear. Unless Apple or Samsung, they need to segment their businesses in order to succeed. The main segments where vendors can achieve success are the premium device segment, specific geographies, and in the enterprise markets. Next. Implementing their own Android and iOS device reduce telecom equipment costs and increase productivity, but IT sees potential security gaps and a need for additional staff and mobile device management solutions. Windows offers a solution for vendors looking to target specific segments and serve the enterprise market. It offers a unified platform across PCs, tablets, and smartphones. Mobile management becomes less complex with a single platform across these devices. Managing security, policies, access, and applications becomes more straightforward and reduces costs and the workload for IT staff. We believe that PC vendors in particular will improve mobile device strategy with the advent of Windows 8, particularly in tablets, while no other smartphone vendors who are currently struggling to establish profitable businesses with Android will also add Windows 8 mobile devices to their portfolios. Next. To conclude, I return to the point I brought up at the beginning of this presentation. The market is crowded, but it's dominated by two vendors. Apple will continue to leverage their scale, supply advantages, and content ecosystems to control the most profitable parts of the smartphone market. And will maintain control of a share of the mobile devices market, particularly in the consumer space, are, however, vulnerable in the mobile devices segment. So consumers bought into both Android and iOS. But with first mover advantage comes vast content and vast content ecosystems behind them. The barrier to entry for a third platform considerable in the consumer space. Samsung and Apple are profit leaders. All mobile device vendors are followers right now. This is unlikely to change anytime in the next year or two. To be successful, mobile device vendors will have to adapt and adopt more focused approaches to the market. Disruption to the specific market segments offer opportunities. The enterprise segment is currently undergoing disruptions as a result of the trend of bring your own device to the enterprise. But the enterprise market does offer opportunities to vendors. This is the segment that many mobile device vendors must actively pursue in order to build profitable market share. I give you the opportunity to speak to you all. I'd love your questions now.
Excellent. As you mentioned, we're opening the floor up to questions. We've had a couple come through. The first question, Ken, that came in is, Apple is outselling everyone in tablets. iPads are the de facto platform in the workplace, and developers are already writing apps for them. how Microsoft expects to break into a space already owned by tablets. Especially hasn't even been able to make any appreciable headway in smartphones, despite the better part of a decade of trying.
Excuse me. Well, no, I got a couple of ways of looking at this. First of all, as a big player in the enterprise, yes, many workers are bringing tablets into the workplace, but this isn't an IT-driven trend. So if IT is looking for a tablet platform that's truly enterprise-grade, the IT isn't necessarily it. It can be integrated with PCs, and which can easily be managed by IT. And as I've already said, it looks like Windows is going to offer this. Now, second, a portfolio of enterprise-grade apps for our iPads. This will offer much of the same functionality and ability to run enterprise applications and programs as PCs. So, reason those tablets can establish a foothold in the enterprise.
Next question that's come in is, you mentioned that the strength in the PC market doesn't translate into strength in mobile. Why do you think that is?
Well, the way PCs have been used and the way smartphones are used are completely different. So, historically, smartphones are primarily for accessing internet content. PCs are actually for doing productive work, as well as for accessing the internet. The vendors that are understand the PC market don't understand the smartphone market, and vice versa. And I think an example of that are some of the leading smartphone vendors or vendors that are strong in smartphones are not necessarily market leaders in PCs.
Hold on. Let me just scroll. It seems that for Microsoft to establish a beachhead in the enterprise, they need to hope that IT departments continue to exert a high level of influence over dictating the IT equipment that the business uses. However, do you see power shifting?
Well, honestly,
shifting away from the IT department and it becomes more support department versus dictating.
Yeah, obviously that seems to be the direction that things are moving right now. That's the impetus behind BYOD. I believe that as enterprises look at the cost of BYOD and mobile device management gets much more expensive, managing multiple platforms, multiple devices, multiple applications, that it starts to make more sense for IT to exert more control over the devices that are tied to their data. And that's the case where a platform that a single platform that is well integrated with the PCs and tablets and smartphones can really make an argument. And that gives IT an opportunity to say, hey, we have to manage these things, so we want to have more control over what is touching our data.
The question we have right now is, in a smartphone market with annual sales of hundreds of millions of devices, is it realistic for vendors to focus their attention on an enterprise market where sales of millions of devices is the norm?
Leaders that are struggling to compete profitably with Apple and Samsung, the enterprise market, it's an alternative. That's a space where people or businesses are willing to pay more for devices, somewhat more brand loyal than the average consumer. Apple consumers accepted, of course. But I think that, especially for vendors that already have access to the enterprise market through their PC business, this offers a better sector to establish a foothold. They can sell to the consumer market, but establish a beachhead in the enterprise, have a more secure position from which to tackle other sectors. I hope that helps.
That was the question we have right now. So what we'll do is move on. We want to share some of the upcoming research that Ken and the computing team here is going to be working on in the next quarter. to solicit feedback from everyone who's on the webinar as clients and to get briefings and to find out, if this is going to resonate with your needs. We'll be sending out these slides as well as a recording of the webinar within the next 24 hours. We want everyone for your questions and your comments that we've gotten today. We've really enjoyed the interaction and look forward to continuing dialogue. As I said, we're including information on the research that we're working on, and you can reach out to Ken or to John Spooner directly to get access to this information, and look for the link from your sales rep in the next 24 hours with the link to our YouTube channel to get access to the recording and the slides. We're going to leave the chat function open for another few minutes to give folks a chance to ask any last-minute questions that they may have. And remember that we'll be doing these kind of webinars for our clients every quarter. So we look forward to seeing you next quarter and bringing you more insight on the state of the computing market. Thanks, everyone.